There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one hurts, with one needs, with all we gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time, brother, stop dying? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one heart, with one need, we gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, in peace. Alright, peace. Undied. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, with all we gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time, brother, stop dying? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one heart, with one need, we gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, in peace. Alright, peace, peace together.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this? Okay, thank you guys for joining me on the show, Shadow Chasing Show. And yeah, I'm a little bit late, but I had to get some things gathered for this evening's stories that's been going on around the world in 80 days. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I've been recovering. I'm not sure if you guys noticed my difference in my face lately, but I'm actually lost some weight in my chin. I went on a 5-day fast. I became very, very ill. And I don't know why. I don't know why or how or what happened. I do know this. There were a lot of chemtrails in the sky, and I became quite sick. So I was not myself. I had a fever. I had, you name it, the whole 9 yards, except I didn't throw up. I'm great. It was great. But I ended up doing a lot of sleeping. I couldn't barely keep my eyes open. I was out of it. I was done. And I wasn't sure. I had pain in my gut and I couldn't, and on the upper part of my stomach, and I couldn't figure what was going on. But the thing is that it wasn't, something was not right. And so I had to work on me. And so I spent the 4 days not communicating with anybody. I was out of the way. I was, I had to clear up my physical self and my well-being. I had to get healed. So I broke the fever, so to speak, and everyone was sick. Everybody was down, and folks need to know it's not a virus that people are giving to each other. It's actually the chemtrails. The chemtrails were sprayed across British Columbia here, and whoever had if anybody's most exhausted, they're the ones that are going to get hit the hardest. Elderly, yes. Children, even children too. Even children got hit really hard. They didn't know what to do. So what I had to do for myself to make sure, because I asked Spirit, was this passed on from someone across the room, like a big C? And they said, no, it's not that. It's not from the people. It came from the sky, they said. They kept saying it came from the spray in the skies. And that was confirmed. Spirit kept confirming it. So I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people said they were watching. They actually took videos and photographs of the chemtrails. Apparently, what I understood, there are people still under contracts that have been going across the skies and are still doing the chemtrails. Our commander in chief did not know that these chemtrails were contracted continuously. He thought, okay, you guys are done. Stop. You can't do this no more. That's it. No more. But he did not know that these are continuous contracts. And so there's some very, very bad people would say, don't listen to him. Just do it. You're getting paid for this job. And so I guess he had to go and visit some people at some airports and some areas. Military came down and through the states. Quite a few people got arrested, got busted, even recorded, admitted that they knew what the toxic chemicals were. They were specifically for, and this one person even admitted the fact that he was doing it for 20 years and didn't care as long as he got his check. That's cruel. I mean, that guy should be in jail by now, or should be arrested for even conspiracy to follow through. So myself, I said before, whatever I breathed in, I had a fever. I felt dizzy. I can barely stand up straight. It felt like I was actually going into a different dimension. And I was like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? And I thought, are we going through a time shift? Then we also, at the same time, about a few days before I recovered, we even had another earthquake here in British Columbia. And that hit my house. I mean, that's the second earthquake the past 2 weeks. We've never had earthquakes before, ever. Not this many at once. So we had another earth tremor because this time it shook my freaking house. I mean, my house, it felt like there was a heavy-duty helicopter flew over us. And and my house went shake, 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 shake. And I went, what the heck is going on? So it woke me right out of bed. It's like shook me out of bed. So I knew then things weren't working well for anyone. So I had to work on, like I said before, I had to recover, and I could not get. I was not. I told my wife to stop doing my readings for a while, or for until I was ever better. So she had to cancel all my clients, all my bookings. But pardon me. But I am here now, and the energy is here now. Spirit's coming through, which is great. I'm not yawning because I'm tired. I had a lot of sleep, so some water for me right now. I wouldn't spill myself. No, I did good. Yes, I did. No, I did spill myself. So, pardon me. So, anyways, I had some water, and just to give myself some more of a boost. Water is good for you, very cleansing. Oh, I did spill. Overshot when I squeezed the bottle too hard. Yeah, can't get me off the bottle. So, anyways, what happened? So, I actually took me a while to recover. And the fifth day, I still was a little bit weak. I was. I mean, I was also. I had to fast. I could not eat no food. I was drinking nothing but fluids, and I also did oil of oregano and my echinacea. So I worked on. Was doing those, doing my through my liver cleansing with my. I mean, basically, that's what oil of oregano is. So if you those have actually never done it before, it's like I do. Oh, good. About half a size shot of oil of oregano. I do it straight in. I just swallow it and then I kick it back with some water, and that goes right to the liver. Goes right to cleansing the liver. And I was beginning to recover better, but it took a while. Some people, they're different. Their digestive system is different. Mine, I had to do really, really work hard to fast. And so it's always good actually in the springtime. It's a good thing to fast. At least 4 day fast before when you began your welcoming of spring, and it helped me a whole lot. I'm a lot clearer, feel better, more. I don't feel exhausted or tired. I'm right out there, just giving her like a yes. Lost even. I think I lost about 10 pounds out of the 5 or 6 days being out. So I appreciate the weight loss. So I'm trying to get better. So I'm here. And I do appreciate all you folks that are in the chat rooms. Those are in the Facebook chat room and the YouTube chat room. Thank you for coming to the chat rooms this evening. So like I said before, tonight it's I was actually talking about having to what I had to go through recovery. Thank you for being in the chat room. Hi Tina and Layla and see Ernie. Who else we got in the chat room? We got more people here. Raven. So yeah, thank you, thank you for coming in, guys. Well, I'm a little bit late coming on, but I think it's worthwhile. I mean, I was like I said, gathering all of my information. I had to put all my files up front here so you guys can see it. What I find it's important for everyone to know. I asked Spirit what I need to talk about tonight because I really didn't know what to do, and they said we need to talk about the secrets of the world control because basically a lot of people have no idea what's been going on across this world. And a lot of people have been getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And so this is the reason why we have been fighting to survive. Okay. And, let's talk about the medical industry, for example. Let's talk about in 1938, they passed a law. It was illegal to cure. Okay. Now, why would they pass our hospitals? Why would they, every medical society, whether it's in Canada, United States, or across the world, why did they pass a law? And who got them to pass this law? It was the Rothschilds. Got to pass the law that was make it illegal to cure. Why? Because who is in control of our health? They're making sure that we are not healthy enough. Who controls the school boards? Who tells us that what we can read or not read? Who actually tells us what we can have and what we can't have regarding consuming foods? Who tells the organizations or corporate organizations what we can purchase, what we can't purchase? Who actually tells these people when to lock us down and when to tell us we got to line up and get a jab in the arm? And yet we become obedient sheep, and they had to train us for hundreds of years to basically try to see if they can mass control the world. Okay. And so basically some people believe that, they say, oh, you're doing nothing but conspiracy. You're talking about nothing but conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with this world. Yes, there is. Okay, we already knew something's going down, especially when you got out. Let's put it this way, folks. Let's go back 5 years when 2019 existed. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about lining up. Okay, let's talk about having to line up 6 feet apart with a mask on, standing outside a corporate store, and you wanting to line up and get your food and supplies. You walk in, and you got a shopping cart, but you can't be anywhere near anybody and any people, and so you're standing outside, out in the world, outside with paper masks. And back in those years, people were not just wearing masks; they were wearing plastic tubing. They were wearing all kinds of outfits, homemade filters, even automotive filters on their faces. Guys are wearing huge masks that you wear in the shop when you're painting a car. The whole world went nuts. Absolutely creatively nuts. And I will say creatively because a lot of these guys were so creative. And I didn't wear a mask. I just put on a bandana if they push it. Now, did I stand outside wearing a bandana? No. I stood outside watching everybody stand there wearing masks, and they're fearful of me. Okay? Fearful of me. I mean, literally, their eyes are like this of each other. They didn't even trust the even other shoppers standing next to them. They're going, the whole world's coming to an end. Ah! I'm not telling you. I'm not kidding you guys. This is actually Chicken Little. The whole story. If that story did not exist, you know what I'm talking about. This is your Chicken Little story. The world's coming to an end. It's going to fall. The whole world went nuts. Okay? And when you go to a corporate store shopping, and I had to go get groceries for my wife because she had cancer. She had cancer and she was at home. I had to go shopping for her. She couldn't go outdoors. And because she had blood cancer, which is leukemia. So I was taking responsibility watching over her. Now, did I line up and get one of those things in the arm? No. I'm not dumb because Spirit said don't do it. I listened to them up there, not to those guys over there who've got, these radio stations and TV stations. Oh, you have to line up because they told you to. And yet these corporate stores also had pharmaceutical centers in there. And there's people lining up getting the jab. I call them snake bites. They're all lining up 6 feet apart or by appointment. And some people wanted 2 or 3 jabs. Oh, I want to get it all done. Shove it all in me. This is how crazy the world became. I'm telling you, it was nuts. They were nuts. But we fell for it. Okay? They fell for it. I mean, I watched, and when we went shopping, here's the thing really gets me. They informed the world that we have COVID. Next thing you know, when you went into a shopping center, they have these floor arrows telling you got to follow the line of each aisle and had to go arrow one way, arrow down the other. You're not allowed to go anywhere up and down the aisle, and you have to follow the arrows one way only. Are you kidding me? You can't go the other way back in and grab something else. No, you can't do that. See, it's against the rules, or even they were trying to think it's against the law, and they call it a mandatory law. There is no freaking mandatory law, but they had you to believe it. It's mandatory law. It's the law. There never was a law. No law was passed. Your government has to pass a law. There never was a law. Mandatory is a law. No, it's not. Mandatory means that you consent, that you're giving them permission to tell you what to do. Nobody listened to that. Okay? And yet, I watch people when I'm walking down the aisle, I needed some groceries. So there's a certain part of the area. One lady was lingering, staring at something. and she had her mask on and her face mask on. And I thought, okay, I want to get that and where she's at. And I'm going to reach over. I walked up to her and I reached over and grabbed it. Suddenly, her nose didn't turn towards me. She had fear in her eyes and she kept lifting her head up to the highest shelf, like, and as if she's paralyzed, like, I'm breathing up here, don't breathe at me. People were so afraid of us breathing on or near them. Breathing, oxygen. Can't breathe on me. If you breathe on me, I'm going to die. Or you're going to get me sicker. And yet, here, you guys remember this when Dr. Fauci said, don't look at them because your eyes are going to spray on them. You're going to shoot water from, you're going to spray your eyes at them. They're going to get the COVID because you're going to spray on with your eyes. He made up so much garbage. You know, he made up so much garbage. People believing, right? Oh, you got to cover all your hands with rubber gloves. You got to walk around with swabs. There was so much. You remember all that solution that people swatch, and you put your hands on here, swatch, and they're putting their faces and they're putting their arms and they're rubbing it all over their kids' legs and and they're forcing the kids to wear their masks and the kids say, I don't want to wear a mask, and they're smacking the kid. You wear that mask. They even had masks on babies. Babies. They were putting the cream all over the baby's arms or the children's legs and arms, and they were burning them. The kids were burning from the solution. It was alcohol, but it was a rubbing alcohol, but it was a chemical automotive cleaner. They were burning their own children with the solution. And I'm surprised the stores never were sued for making, and they're telling the parents, they're telling people, well, you have to, you got to use this, and they force you, and they got these. Do you guys remember they always have these salad tongs, and they'll pick them up, and they're handing you a mask to put on as you're coming in. I said, no, thank you, no, thank you. Oh, you have to put it on. No, I don't. I'm exempt. I don't have to put it on. Well, see, here's my tag. I'm exempt. Medical tag. I'm exempt. I have CS. I have CS. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I have CS. I can't wear that. They don't know. I'm not going to tell them. And so one lady, as she's saying, she's following me around and asked, actually, after I paid for my stuff and left the store, and she walked up and she says, can I ask you something? What is CS? I looked back at her and said, common sense. What? And I kept walking. Okay. Common sense. And that's what I told him. I never, ever, ever wore a mask over my face. If I had to cover up, I put on my bandana like a bandit. And I wear that if they want me to. But that's under my own material. But it was wide open underneath so I can breathe. They want you to cover up like this, like a big ball, which basically forces the carbon dioxide back in your lungs. And in time, you get sicker. That's why in 1918, when they had the Spanish flu, everyone was getting sicker and sicker and sicker and dying. It had nothing to do with their jabs back then. And there was laws passed. They said it was a law in the time, 1918. And they had signs out there saying it was illegal. If you don't wear a mask, you go to jail. You go to jail. Even if you're a child, if you refuse to wear a mask back then, you go to jail. And you do 6 months in jail for not wearing a mask. And then if you refuse to get any more needles, then you go, then they force you down, to hold you down. I've watched videos of military soldiers go after one soldier who refused to get the jab, 5 or 6 of the soldiers grabbed that kid down and hold his arm up until he got the jab in the arm. That few days, that young man died. Okay. So I'm not going to go there yet, Keith. Um, so that young man died, and many other children died being lined up to carry when they did the jabs on them. A lot of people died, and if they didn't die then, now we're having fatal heart attacks, we're having fatal cancers, we're having fatal blood clots, we've had fatal strokes, we've had people have gone blind, suddenly going blind, children going blind because of the jabs. Lost their people are losing their limbs, legs, suddenly their toe, their leg, their arms, like next thing you know, they're within a matter of weeks and not even that, they're gone. Suddenly, died suddenly. We lost a population, and even Bill Gates even predicted that his goal was to remove, and he said these words in his own words, that he wanted to depopulate over 2 billion people for the 2019, and his major goal was for 2024-25 was to start another 7 more billion. 7 more billion, not million, billion. He wanted to depopulate again, and he was trying to get he wants to make a law passed where you cannot get food or anything until you get the jab. You cannot get any food, you can't get any gas, you can't go anywhere at all, you can't watch TV, you can't have water, you can't have electricity, you can't get warm, you can't buy clothes, your kids can't go to school. None of it. You can't even go to work unless you get the jab, any more jabs. This is what he wanted to do. Now, this is not just Bill Gates. This is Fauci. This is your World Economic Forum. This is your Klaus Schwabs. These are all the people that have joined the World Economic Forum. This is your Christopher Freelands, who joined the World Economic Forum. This is your Mark Carney, who joined the in fact, he's one of the heads of the Economic Forum, okay, or World Economic Forum. We have Trudeau, World Economic Forum. We had a lot of politicians from all over the world that joined, and presently still were actually insistently want to keep the World Economic Forum, and they want to join the UN and have a law passed that the UN can now and have the Ukraine join them, and the Ukraine can join all of this and make this all happen and become a third world war. They want to go to war. Why does Trudeau and Christopher Freeland want to go to war? Because they're Nazi followers and have always been. Because he married his wife, and she's actually Adolf Hitler's granddaughter. Okay, most of you may not know this or do know this. That's true. Now, even though they separated, reason why they separated, because that's not the real Justine Trudeau. The real one's taken away July 19, 2019 to Gitmo. This one here is an actor, and she could not any way handle him being with him anymore because that's not her man. So she went back to her old boyfriend, who actually had those kids, who actually is a dentist, I believe, doctor dentist. And those are his kids, not Trudeau's. Trudeau, Justin never had. He was sterile, never had kids. So now you know. Now, here's a crazy part. And like I said before, that's the reason why I put the title on this evening, called Conspiracies, Facts, or Fiction. Time to wake up the world. Now, I've been trying to wake up this world the last 5 years. But I have proof, lots of it, okay? And this proof goes way back into the 1760s, way back when it began. Now, why did I bring it forward a long time ago? Because people were not prepared to listen. A lot of people did. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Now they want to know the history and where it began. They talk about the Illuminati. Who is this Illuminati? And also, they made a lot of these TV shows, Illuminati. They made cartoons, Illuminati, like your Marvel movies. They got the word Illuminati in it. Your DC comic got your Illuminati in it. Anything to do with the word Illuminati. Oh, they made a joke about Illuminati. Illuminati, folks, is not a joke. It's for real. Okay. The Illuminati are actually a bunch of Freemasons. Now, they were not called Freemasons back then. They're called the Blue Masons. They were the true deceivers of the Freemasons. Okay. Not here's the thing. This is the mistake that people think. Everyone thinks that the Freemasons were all bad guys. No. The group of people called the Blue Masons are the ones you don't trust. They're the ones that help create the deceiving and depopulation and to control the world through communism and created the word Illuminati. Okay. So this goes back to Albert Pike. It goes back even further, way far back. This goes back into the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They've all been involved from the very beginning. They were all related to each other, and even as far back even as the First World War, Second World War, and that's where they wanted to continue on to the Third World War. They wanted to make it where we're going to go and have a Third World War so the Illuminati can carry on their goal. Now, they even had people believe that John F. Kennedy was part of the Illuminati. No. He's the one that when it stepped up and goes, no. Lincoln even stepped up and said, no. So what did they do? They got rid of Lincoln and they got rid of John F. Kennedy. One third person, one third man, the third, because actually it's predicted. There's three men they're going to try and stop the Illuminati. One, Lincoln, one, John F. Kennedy, and the one we have right now, Donald John Trump. He's the third person that's trying to stop the Illuminati. Now, whether you believe it or not, he was placed there for a reason to make it not go through. He doesn't want no Third World War. He doesn't want it to happen at all. But he was placed there for a reason to make it not work. So things have been shifting. And even though some people are trying to say, well, this is predicted, you're supposed to have Third World War. No, it can change. I even learned this from my extraterrestrial friends when I was on the ship, and they showed me and they said, Derek, it can change. It doesn't have to happen. Because they talked about the great fires, that the world was going to go boom. I watched the film. I watched the video of it on a flat screen TV back in 2003. Flat screen TVs didn't exist back then. On a ship, space ship. Okay. I was on it. I seen it. They showed me. Now, why would they show me? Because I had to remember and for me to share this with you. I remember this so well. But they also said too that I would meet other people like myself through the years, and we all confirmed this together. When I met Jordan Maxwell, which made a whole lot of sense, because Jordan Maxwell did 60 years worth of research trying to show you guys how bad this world was going to go and become what it is today. We fell for the garbage. We fell for it. Okay. We became the slaves to ourselves. They controlled us and we allowed it to happen. They would use a threat and telling us if we didn't do as we're told, and if we didn't listen to them, and if we disobeyed, we go to jail. Why would they always use the word jail? Because people are afraid of that word. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. And I hear it all the time. I've been in jail and it doesn't scare me. It's just a bunch of bars behind there, and you get out and you sit there with other guys that are in that room, and whatever their subject of their charges were. You get out the next day and you're home. Wow, I'm so scared because the metal bars are in front of me. It's like a giant gate. Didn't care. Okay, but the thing is that I wasn't there for a night. I was sentenced to do some time, which I did not do, by the way. Even after this day, I denied it. I would never, ever, what I was charged of, because I was in the way. Okay. I knew stuff. They didn't like it. And I was going to, I guess, just say, expose them. I did expose them after, but I exposed them. The fact is that I did time because they had to get me out of the way for what was going on. It wasn't good. But anyways, I got out less than a year. I was sentenced to do 3. At first, they said I'd be doing life in prison. And I go like, why are you putting me behind bars? I was in the wrong place, wrong time, in the way. Hey, that happens. I was way back in the late 70s, early 80s. Here I am, still here. So it was scary being inside. Met a lot of lifers, people that did some major damage to people before from the past. You know what they did in their daily life when they were walking in the streets. But when I got out, I was relieved. I was free from being behind those bars. But the thing is that I was basically charged under a corporation. You see, the corporation was making sure that if you're considered as a problem, they put you behind bars. It's not, when you call governing people or governmenting people, that means you are giving your life or your freedom to them, and you let them get away with it by having to try to control you. And I learned a lot of things through years. Even after when I got out, many years later, I became a counselor, and I was working for a family family services. I was actually protecting. My job was to help protect children. So these kids were foster kids and kids in care. The ministry, um, that's who I was not working for, but under a different contract. And so they asked me if I'd be interested and wanted to work at the pretrial and talk to and work with the inmates in the pretrials. And I said, yeah, sure. Now, I never realized that when I go to say, for example, here in Surrey, being a counselor, I get to work with people that are already being charged something, and they want me to do this test on them and find out why they did it and what makes them continue on do the programming. Always keep on wanting to get charges and get in, get out, go in, go out, go in, go out. Every time you're being charged, you go back to jail. And I thought, why do these guys become lifers? They're always going back in and out all the time. How come they just can't go into the street and have a great life? And how come they're having so many B&E charges on them? Well, I'll find out later. A lot of these B&E charges are nothing to do with stealing. They're breaking in entry because it's always winter when they do B&Es. Cold winters between 10 below to 30 below or 40 below, and they break and enter to get warm. And they go in the building and they hide under a desk somewhere. They want to hide and sleep because they're so tired. And I don't blame them. Then the police would show up and they'll say, oh, you're under arrest because you broke in. They want them to serve 2 to 4 years for breaking in, sleeping in the building. And the police or the Crown Council wants to put them to do more time. For what? Because they want to get warm. Now, their lawyer that represents them, that lawyer does not say, Your Honor, if you check his record, could be long. But the fact is, all these B&Es had nothing to do about him stealing. He's breaking entry because he just wants a place to sleep. Now, these lawyers don't tell him that to the judge. All they'll say, Your Honor, I don't know why he has such a great record, but I'm here to represent him. And I tell this lawyer, and I said, I asked my client, I say, look, can I say something in the council and have the lawyer sit down and let me do the talking? And he said, yes, you can be my lawyer. So I shoved the lawyer aside. I said, now I'm going to talk. So all of my testing and all of my work that I had done with these inmates, each individual inmate, whatever their criminal records were, most of them were not violent records. Most of them were peaceful records. B&Es, they weren't stealing. And then most time, anything that's stolen is mostly food. Food. They were hungry. They weren't stealing clothing, weren't stealing shoes, they weren't stealing expensive stuff. Food. So all these restaurants and all these businesses that are rich, were charging these people for breaking entry and stealing food. No, they were hungry. They were eating the food. They weren't taking it out the building. They were sitting there eating it because they were hungry. So when I was in court, tell this to the judge, Your Honor, the reason why this young man has a long record, if you look at his record clearly, The listing of all the years he's been breaking entry is always in the winter time, not the summer. And it's always, if you look at the seasons, it's always the coldest of the season. He's breaking entry, and he's always found under. If you look at the charges and how they find him, it's always under a desk. He's not trying to hide. He's just going under somewhere to get warm. So if any security officer walks in looking for anybody, they don't see him because they look through the window and there's nobody there. So he's actually hiding under the desk. Yes, sleeping. So it makes a whole lot of sense. So now if you see a sandwich in his hand, because he was hungry, nothing more. But they want to charge him and have him do 2 to 4 years for stealing a sandwich and hiding under a desk. This is what your corporations are like. People have lost their humanity to help these people. Now, I said that to the judge. I said, I don't think this young man has. I asked this young man, does he want to carry on doing this all the time? He says, no. He said he's always wanted to have a job and have a better life, a better job, and to where, like have his own vehicle, and he doesn't have a vehicle, but have his own place and have a better life like everybody else in the community. But he can't because they don't give him a chance. Here's the problem. Your criminal record is always exposed to the businesses. The businesses should have no right whatsoever to know your past. None. Unless it's a violent record. But if it's not a violent record, they should not have a right looking up your personal issues that you may have done in the past, whether it was a B&E or stealing a sandwich or smoking a joint. That should never be on your right. That should never be shown to any bosses, because what you're doing really is you're handing over the guilt continuously, even though you served your time. Even though you served your time, you're making it extend even longer to basically embarrass you, humiliate you to the next boss that you want to get hired by. That should never be in public whatsoever. Once you're charged, once you're released, that stays private. In prison or wherever you want to lock up the lock. But never apply for a job and then they say, well, you got to show your past. You can say if there's any charges laid against you. No company should have that right to ask the question unless it's a violent record. If it shows there was violence in it, yes. No showing of violence, then he should never have to explain it to anybody. Because the first they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, I got charged for break-in entry because I was hungry. Oh, well, can't trust you. See what I mean? So this is what society was like. Society became so not trusting anyone. And that's why so many people that are trying to find a life of their own, whether they're homeless or not, they just want to have a better life. So we need to give them a chance. And I believe that can work for them. So this young man was supposed to be sentenced to serve 4 years, and I got him down less 2 years. Because I said, Your Honor, he wants to stop this. And this man is in his late 30s. He's too old to run around breaking in entry all the time. He doesn't have any friends. He's trying to do better. But give him a chance. So the judge, because of me, what I had said to the courts and shared, the words of wisdom to the judge, I said, I believe this young man can do better. I trust him. I have faith in him. I know he can do it. So the judge and the Crown Counsel was there, and they said, well, Your Honor, if this is what this fellow actually had requested, we'll give this young man a chance. So the Crown Counsel even said that. Most time Crown Counsel says, no, he should be serving 4 years. So the judge says, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to charge you, I'm going to have you sentenced to do 2 years less a day. So it means he'll be in prison, but he'll be in provincial jail, serving inside prison for about, let's say in provincial for about the first 6 months, a regular prison. And they'll put him in a halfway house after that. So he'll be there for the next year in a halfway house. So he'll be out in less than 18 months. Good for him. Meantime, he can learn to actually establish himself back on the street. But he'll learn to find a way to work his way up out into population. And I have seen him, and then many years later, I have seen him again. Since then, he's never been back to jail. He's done quite well. He's better. He's got a job, wife and kid now. He's happy because I believed in him, and he knew that, and the courts have said nothing to him since then. He said he really appreciated that. It helped give him motivation to do something about this. And there are good people out there that don't deserve to be behind bars. I've seen maybe a good half the amount of people that I saw in prison, in jail, that should not have been there, should never have been there, and a lot of police corruption that put them there. Okay, a lot of police corruption put them in there, and then I've talked to a few of them, and they'll say, "I don't know what happened. They just grabbed me off the street and put me in jail." Or did you steal anything? And there I said, be honest now. I just want to know from you, did you steal anything? No. Did you do anything wrong? No. I was standing here, and next thing you know, I'm behind bars because they said I look suspicious. Next thing you know, they're serving time. These guys in Canada can serve time up to 6 months without a charge. 6 months, no fingerprinting. You're in prison for 6 months without a charge. Once a cop grabs you inside, you can't get out. And you can't get a lawyer. They won't give you one. In Canada, that is a corporation. Okay, that is corporation, and that is the worst of its all. I've seen it happen many, many times. And they've gotten away with it. And this is how our Prime Minister, Trudeau, had done. He actually put a war act on where people were actually grabbed off the street, taken to prison, maximum penitentiary. These were pastors. Okay, pastors and missionaries were actually grabbed out of their own church because they refused to stop doing church service. Like, this is what happened when the RCMP, Trudeau sent the RCMP to the churches to arrest the priests and the pastors because they refused to do church service. They wanted to empty the church. Why? Because they don't want us to believe in or talk about God. Because Trudeau's beliefs is he believes in the devil. Okay, Satan is his follower. That Satan is his leader. Trudeau doesn't follow God. He hates God. Okay, his mother raised him satanic, following the satanic way, and his mother actually is one of the daughters of the very famous major who actually was a satanic follower, had his own organization. So it all goes back. You see, in our country, we fell for it. So, okay, let's check in the chat room here for a few minutes here. Okay, there is no conspiracy theories, only conspiracy facts. Thank you, Jesse. Eisengish says, hello, I love catching your lives still at work, so I'm popping in and out and then rewatching the whole thing again this weekend. Yeah, thank you. Linda says, glad to hear you're better. So you're ill. Yeah, I was unwell for about 4 or 5 days. Actually, those who are coming in the chat room this evening, I had to do a lot of major fasting. I was so sick. The chemtrails are in the sky, and it got me sick. I've heard so many people actually end up saying that they are very, very sick when the chemtrails came across here in British Columbia. Yeah. So the thing is that we're still learning about all kinds of stuff, folks. I mean, there are people that have been charged, not even fingerprinted. For example, there's Pastor Artur Pawlowski, who actually is from Alberta, originally from Poland. He was doing church service in Calgary, and the Alberta Premier Jason Kenney, when he was actually Premier then, he ordered Artur Pawlowski to be arrested, and when he was going down the road, it was video recorded, and it was actually there was six RCMP cars pulled him over, and they pulled him out of his car, and they handcuffed him on his feet as well, not just his hands, his feet. 4 officers picked him up off the ground and carried him in and threw him in the back of the seat of the police car, drove him all the way down to Edmonton, to the Edmonton Maximum Penitentiary. And they took him inside. They stripped him clean, stripped him of his clothes, totally naked, put him in the digger, which you call the it's a 23 and a half hour lockdown, and he had he had one sheet, very thin sheet, and a small thin mattress about this thin. That's it, thin mattress, and he was in the cold. Those rooms, I know those 23 hour lockdowns are like, it's cold down there. And this is dead of winter. He damn near died. They said the snow was coming through the window. He was laying in fetal position, and by day 3, he said to God, he said, "Jesus, come and take me. I don't think I'm going to make this. This is too much for me. Come and take me." He said he had an awakening. Suddenly, he said Jesus came to him and said to him, "Stay alive for me. I need you here." And so he opened his eyes. Now, at the same time, he was there for 57 days naked, okay, in the Edmonton Maximum Penitentiary. Like I said, folks, he was never fingerprinted. He was locked down in this building. Locked down. Out of sight, out of mind. Jason Kenney wanted him dead. He ordered the bulls, the guards, told the inmates to kill him. The inmates were wondering why. One inmate went in there and seen Arthur Pulowski and asked him, Father Pulowski, he's like, "Why do you want, they sent us to go kill you. Why do they want us to kill you?" He said, "Because I'm a pastor and I called them out in their bullshit, and called them Nazis." He said, "I'm a pastor and I believe in God, and they don't want me to preach the word of God. So they arrested me and put me here. That's all." He says, "Yeah, that's it." Here's what happened. The inmate went back told the other inmates, all of the inmates, all those inmates gathered together, went over to see Arthur Pulowski, Father Arthur Pulowski. They asked him to do service, and they gave him clothing, and he wore, and they gave them their own clothing, their own inmate clothing, and he did church service there for them in the Edmonton Maximum Prison. When Jason Kenney found out that he was doing service, that he was still alive, Kenney demanded to take him out of the prison and to force him to sign an agreement that he would never share the story. And Arthur Pulowski said, "You're a Nazi. Do you think I'm stupid? I'm from Poland." He says, "Our people were tortured in Poland. It's the same war like you have doing with us right here." He said, "I'm not going to change anything, and you're not going to brainwash me or force me to do what I want to do." And she says, "I'm talking about the freedom of the God, a freedom of rights of speaking, talking about God." So what happened was they released him. They took him home. Arthur Pulowski exposed them. Jason Kenney disappeared. They can't find him right now. Because now, see, the thing is, he played a mafia boss. And he thought he can just get rid of anybody he wants. Jason Kenney, whoever you are, you're going bye-bye, bud. If you're gone already, God's got you. If you're not gone yet, you're going to Gitmo. See you soon. Because God's going to come and get you, man. So that's why we haven't heard from Arthur Pulowski, because things have happened. Now, I would like to get a hold of him again and see how things have been going on since then. But this has happened between 2022, 21, 22. So the world, this thing hasn't, and then Pulowski also went all the way to Coutts, Alberta, to help support the truckers' convoy there at the border. He was there specifically to support and pray for them there. And there was a video of Arthur Pulowski doing prayer and telling all the truckers that, if you want to go home, you can go home. If you want to stay and still carry on your freedom, you're more than welcome to this day. I will be here for you. I'll stand with you here. Here's the thing. Then the RCMP in Coutts decided to throw some unknown firearms and um, explosives in someone's truck and then they decided to go and arrest some people and charge them for, guess what? They said, oh, we were going to try and kill the RCMP. You're here to kill the RCMP. Like, really? So then we had 4 men that were arrested and put into Coots prison or into Calgary remand and have them charged for conspiracy of murder. These men were protesting. They're not there conspiracy of murder. So here's the thing, folks. The RCMP are corrupted. I want to believe in some really good RCMP out there, and then you can, no matter what police officer you are, folks, you got some good ones and bad ones. I don't care what group of people you're in. And in some areas, and mostly in Alberta, they've got some very bad corrupted RCMP. I'm talking about old school corruption, and I'll tell you why. And I was told this by a friend of mine who I went to school with, who was RCMP, became RCMP for 25 years. She once did military for 8 years, and then she transferred from military to became an officer of the law. But she thought she was doing a good thing, and then she found out later the old school boys, they taught her this. They said that they themselves are the superiors, and that we are nothing but piss ants under their feet. Okay, we're called piss ants. We are nothing. That RCMP are not to serve and protect us. They're to serve and protect the government. They're to serve and protect Trudeau. Why do you think the RCMP never investigated Trudeau? Because they too are also involved with, you know what, with his little WEs and SNC Lavalin. I'm telling you guys, there's some corrupted officers that actually were part of his group. And I'll tell you about another corrupt officer, ex-officer, because I remember this young man a few years back who was slightly not there. Like he was actually psychotically, not psychotic. He actually has psychosis. And everyone knows that. And his father lived in Montreal. No, his father lived in Turkey, and his mother lived in Montreal. And she also too has psychosis. She was always medicated, so her brain just doesn't think. Anyways, here in British Columbia, he was just doing his thing in life, and he wanted to go back to his dad. He wanted to go back home to Turkey. And this is when Prime Minister Harper was Prime Minister at the time. Now, how I know the story very well, because my client was his counselor. I know the story so well. And anyway, what happened was he said to her that there was 2 plainclothes RCMP officers came to him and told him, if you want to go back to Turkey, and this is when Harper actually banned anyone from leaving Canada to go to Turkey. Now, apparently Turkey had some sort of war thing going on. He refused anybody to go to Turkey. He just shut it down. But he wanted to go back home to his dad because he wanted to go home and not come back here to Canada. Anyways, the RCMP or plainclothes actually said to him, he said, well, if you want to go back home, and you need to tell Harper to his face, here, you take this gun, and here's his wrapping. And you take the scarf with you, and you put it on, and you make your demands. Well, the kid has no car, so he hitchhiked all the way down across Canada, and he got to Ottawa. Now, here's the thing. CBC was recording this from the sky in a helicopter. When he got there to Parliamentary grounds, there was actually a soldier standing next to the cenotaph, military cenotaph, and he was standing there, and he came up to the soldier, and I guess the soldier saw him holding a rifle, and he said, you can't hold that rifle. He says, you need to put that away. And apparently the rifle itself actually was a very rusted old rifle. There's no bullets inside. Rusted as all can be. You can't even shoot it because there's no pin in it. Anyways, nobody knew that. He didn't care. He was just wanted to go home. You got to think, folks, it's psychosis. This is someone who just wants to go home. I just want to go home. I'm tired. I want to go home. So, and you see the video of the CBC flying above in a helicopter, and he apparently he had a little tug of war with the soldier, and the soldier fell unconscious. Now he's not dead; he's unconscious. He never killed the man; he just knocked him down. Now the soldier's still, moving. So now he's panicking. He's got to find a way to get into the parliamentary building. So he runs over, sees his black car, which it wasn't too far from the cenotaph to the Ottawa to the building. So he runs over into the car. The driver even got out. The driver's door was open, right? The guy runs up. The driver's door was open. He gets out. The driver got out. He never even pointed. I watched it. He never even pointed the gun to the driver. The driver got out. He was like, here, get in. So he told him to get in. So he got into the car and he drove down up to the Ottawa building. He gets out. He runs inside. Now, all of a sudden, there's the cameras. The cameras now swing from the helicopter to in the building. Now, this is the hallway, the entrance hallway going into the parliament building. Now you're going to see cameras of every television station on each side of the pillars, that does not happen, folks. When the cameras are panned in on someone, all the cameras are lined up down the hallway straight across. I know my journalism. Every camera was on each side of the pillar watching for him to show up. And the RCMP were walking down the hallway with their guns on their hips, and they're not supposed to carry guns while you're in the parliamentary building. Those guns are supposed to be put away. Meantime, now he's running inside. The RCMP sees him with a rifle and his little scarf, and he's demanding to see Harper so he can go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. Where's Harper? I want to go home. That's all he keeps on saying. The RCMP led him past them. The RCMP didn't even pull out their guns yet. They did not even shoot him. They're standing there just watching. Then someone yelled out loud, real quickly, "Stop! Put the gun down!" Pow, 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 pow. 33 shots rang out. 33. Now, where's Harper? On the second floor in a closet, hiding in a closet. Why is Harper in the closet? How come Harper's in the closet? Because Harper knew that he was on his way. This was all a setup, folks. Why did this all happen? Now, here's the crazy part. In the end, there was supposed to be a guy who brings in the Queen's cenotaph and walks in. This guy's ex-RCMP. I can't remember his name now. And he's the one that's supposed to come in to open the floor in Parliament. So apparently he's the hero. Why? Because he said he ran up the second floor to his office and pulled out his handgun and ran downstairs and shot the man. But there's no 33 shots in a gun there's no 33. There's maybe 7, 8 the most. But there's 33 shots. There's no other RCMP that shot him. Just pop, but 33 shots. Not 3 shots, not 30 shots, 33. We counted the sound of the bullets, or the bang, 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 bang. I mean, I'm talking about it echoed, right? Now, it didn't show him being shot, but you can hear him dropping, and they kept shooting him. Like, they weren't even done. Like, he wasn't moving, making sure he's not alive. So, now, found out later, this was done purposely. This was created purposely. So then they can bring back, guess what? Who do they have to bring back? What do you call the, you have the, okay, how do you call them? Internal revenue, no, not internal revenue. You have the CIA in the States, okay? They're activated to protect you, to protect your country, so to speak. Well, we have I'm not something CIA. What it is now? Anyways, we have CSIS. Now, CSIS was actually put to sleep. CSIS actually is Central Intelligence Agency, Central Intelligence, like our Canadian version of it. Okay. So they activated CSIS. They activated CSIS because of the kid. Now, what they did, the man who carried the cenotaph in, they made him a hero the next day on TV. When he walked in carrying the cenotaph, his face was red. Now, why would his face be red? Because he lied. He lied. He didn't shoot him. He lied. He didn't have a handgun. Why so many shots? And then again, folks, now what happened to the soldier standing at the cenotaph? Someone had a camera on. There's two people that are actually supposed to be by his side, a female and a male. The female was kneeling above this young man, the soldier laying there. Now, what I had seen in the film, and it was actually unrecorded, she cupped her hand over the soldier's mouth and his nose, pinched it, and leaned on him to make sure he wouldn't wake up. This was a set up. This was CSIS at its best. Whether it's them or somebody else, I don't know. But I'll say this. That young man, all he wanted to do was go home. So then they decided to contact his mother in Montreal. How'd they find her number so easily? And how they knew it was her? Because with a matter of an hour or two, they called his mother and said, well, your son, he was a bad person and we had to shoot him because he tried to kill the Prime Minister of Canada. And what was her answer? She goes, well, how's the Prime Minister doing? I hope he's okay. I hope he's safe. She didn't say, how's my son? She was more concerned about the Prime Minister. That tells you that she was right out of it. Now, that's what happened. They activated CSIS into Canada. And so in Canada, now we are considered as a militarized country. Within a matter of less than a month, Harper activated our Canadian soldiers, okay, our Canadian, basically they were called Canadian peacekeepers before. He activated their name and they changed the name title from the Canadian peacekeepers to the Canadian Army. Because when Harper came on television and said, Harper said, now we can go to other countries and go kill people. Those are his words. We can send our soldiers out to other countries and go kill people. Those are his words. He said those words. Okay. And he got away with it by saying those words on the news. This is CBC, CTV. Now, I kept looking for the film. Like, where is the film that was recording him running down the hallway? Where he was shot? Where is the film? I remember watching it. I wasn't crazy. I watched the whole thing. It was live. It disappeared. They can't find it. Now, here's the crazy part of it. CSIS showed up at the counselor's house or her office. They actually demanded his records. They wanted his records, his medical records, because she was her counselor. And the CSIS told her, or she told CSIS, I can't give these to you. These are private. Now, or you won't have a family. They threatened her life. She handed the files over, and he said, it's best you keep your mouth shut. If you tell anybody, then you'll not be in this world either. Somebody's going to disappear. So, do you trust CSIS? No. See what I mean? This is how ugly it has been in this world, folks, in this country. You know, this is not good. We have been conned. We have been conned. I'm telling you, I know things that most people don't know. And I'm sharing with you all these stories, what's going on. Let's see here. What about FEMA? Well, FEMA is not in this country. FEMA is in the States. Um, they are corrupt too. FEMA is also very corrupt in the States. In fact, the people that were being rescued in the States, that should have gotten rescued in the States, FEMA refused to rescue them. In fact, all of the food that was supposed to be delivered to the people, water delivered to the people that were need to be rescued, and places that were need to be, FEMA came down to the location where people were donating the water and the food. FEMA grabbed all the food and the water and scooped it all up and left, took it themselves, took it away from everybody. They scooped up all the bodies from the areas and they were loading them up all in back of semi trucks and drove off with them, not even recording them who they were by name or nothing, just threw them all in a big pile and drove off. There's even small housing available for them, for people who are actually living that need to be, need a place to stay. FEMA took all the buildings away from them. They weren't allowed to even have anything. FEMA was corrupted. They were told, and this is Biden's people. Okay, this is not Trump's people. This is Biden's people. Biden made a demand, told them, don't give them anything. Don't give them nothing. Don't give them water. Don't give them food. Take it away. And that's what he did. So FEMA's in trouble now. Since Trump came in, FEMA's going bye-bye. So things are changing, folks. It's going to get cleaned up. So they talk about the U.S. aid, okay, USAID. That is corrupt too. So Trump's cleaning it up for the U.S. Our country in Canada is being cleaned up. Now, people talk about the tariffs. Number one, that 25% tariff means nothing. Nothing. Trump but when Biden was president, he was charging us 50% tariff. Trump brought it down 25% because all he wanted to do was get fairness brought back in his own country. That's all it is, fairness, straight fairness. Because we weren't giving him. So what does Premier Ford in Ontario do? He threatened Trump. And he said, well, if you're going to charge 25% tariff, then I'm going to shut your electricity off in Pennsylvania and all your areas where we are. I'm going to shut off the electricity to 1.5 million people. They're not going to have no electricity at all. I'm going to shut it right off. If you're going to give us 25%, I'm shutting it off. You just threatened a war, bud. You just threatened a war, a real war. That is entirely illegal. It's under the Geneva Convention. You do not threaten about turning someone's electricity off, especially in wintertime. Ford, you're going to go to jail, bud. You don't threaten anybody, especially from our country. We're supposed to be considered a peacekeeping country. You are a life threatener. Your brother would be pissed at you. At least he was an easy guy to get along with. You're a jackoff, Ford. So here's the thing. Let me tell you a story, folks. Now, what Trump had said was he wasn't trying to take anything from us. He doesn't want to take anything away from us. He was trying to get fairness. What Trudeau is the problem. Trudeau is stealing from you guys. He's stealing from us. He's charging us carbon tax, triple carbon tax. Now he wants to raise our tax even higher. So you think this is easy. That's not. Let me give you guys an example. Okay. Now you may have read this and not read this, but here's it. It says these guys were discussing a story. This happened a couple of days ago. A Canadian woman's experience shopping in the United States on the day the new tariffs were implemented. Okay, now you guys remember the date. She paid $230 US for her groceries. Now she's coming from Canada, going to the States, buying her groceries, bringing them back home. We all do that. Okay, a lot of people do that. Now, but then she had to pay an additional $230 Canadian in Canada duties and taxes and tariffs when she returned to the Canadian border, or returned from the Canadian border, resulting in a total cost of around $600 Canadian for her grocery trip to the USA. It doesn't pay to cross the border. And it's not Trump's fault. It's the Canadian government taxing her double duty, double fees. That's illegal. We're being double taxed. We're being double taxed by our own country. Okay. So it's not Trump's fault. It's the Canadian government taxing your duty plus tariffs fees to Canada. That woman was double taxed purposely. They're making sure you do not cross the border. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you crossing the border. What Trudeau wants to lock up the border completely, that nobody crosses out. He doesn't want us leaving. He wants to put a wall on this side. A wall. No entrance. A wall. That's his goal. He wants to put a wall here. Like, see, when you go to remember that movie called Escape from New York? That's what Trudeau wants. Trudeau wants a wall. Now, why would he want a wall? Okay. Nikki says, I want T to shut down the U.S.'s activity in the global space program. It's global governments who are involved. They use and train children. Absolutely not okay. I'm not understanding this. Okay. In the global space program, it's global governments who are involved. They use and train children. Trump's not involved with kids. Not whatsoever. I don't know what this is all about. Trump shut down the U.S.'s activities in the global space program. Why? There's a global space program, but it's not Trump's baby. The people that control the space program, if you're talking about, there's only one particular space program, and that belongs to the Pleiadians. They're the ones that run it. As global governments who are involved, they use and train children. Absolutely not. No, nobody trains children. Children are not being trained at all. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay. Yeah, Trump is pulling out of NATO. He doesn't want nothing to do with them because the U.S. is pulling out of NATO because, you see, Trudeau doesn't want to pull out of NATO. Trudeau and Zelensky want a war, and so they want NATO to join them. And if the NATO joins the Ukraine, then they'll have a World War III against Russia. That's their goal. Trudeau is on board because Trudeau is a freaking Nazi. We already know that. He's been part of it from the very beginning. He wants a war because he makes money on war. He doesn't make money on peace. He wants to stand as a dictator, folks. He's not done being a prime minister. Think about this. Okay. Now, okay. T is not, but I want him to shut it down. The U.S. is heavily involved. Yeah, I understand. Now I know what you mean, Nikki. There are certain things that have to be brought forward for us to witness, so then we can catch the bad people that are involved in it. It's like saying, why did they let go? Okay. Why did they release P. Diddy? Why did the courts release P. Diddy out of prison? Why did they let him go, even though they have all of the evidence of him involved in the pedophile stuff? And he even said on the telephone on video, and he said to his people in the video, get rid of the pizza boxes. What he's saying is get rid of the kids, hide them. He wants you to get the evidence out of there, hide the evidence. So meantime, they released P. Diddy. Now, why would they release him? They withdrew all the charges. And Trump's going like, what the hell's going on here? Why let him go? So here's my thinking. I know why they let him go. See, Diddy knows people. But again, Diddy's not the bad, not the leader, so to speak. But they think now the bad guys are above him, think that Diddy ratted out. So now, when Diddy was released, guess who's going to follow him? Quietly, in the background. Think about it. You put out the bait, and you're going to get some bigger fish. The real black rock fish. Did you get the first name? The real black rock fish. Get it? So that makes more sense. Because the black rock fish are the sharks. This is who they want because they're involved with him. They want the bigger boys to be taken down as well, not just little boys. So if you guys understand, that's why, sure, the files, Epstein files were released. You only got one file. There's 3 Epstein files. One got released for us to see. There's 2 more. And there's other names. So there's lots of kind of stuff that's going to come out. Now, what I want to share with you guys is this. Let's see. What shall I do here? Who should we talk about first? Let's talk about, I'm going to have you guys watch this because I think it's very important for you to see this. Please watch this. It's going to be important for you in the future to know this and have this knowledge. And when this is fully finished, this program's over, please like and share it as much as you can. And if you haven't seen, like I say, if you think you missed some of it, at least I'll have the recording for you guys. You can keep it for keepsake and share that with others that you know. This is very important. I got 2 setup files here for you guys. It's going to be worthwhile watching. Okay, this gives you the history, but also Jordan Maxwell is involved when he shows it. These are banned videos. These are not supposed to be seen by anybody. These are the bad people. Don't want you to know the truth. These are banned. YouTube doesn't want you to see these. Anybody who's social networks, they don't want you. I can't put these on Facebook. If I put this file on Facebook live or has it in the video, okay, I'm live, makes no difference. But if I kept the video and popped it in there and put the name Jordan Maxwell banned, blah, 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 boom, it's gone. They're going to wipe it out because Facebook doesn't want it. Facebook still fact checks me. Okay. Even though they say, well, no, we're not going to fact check you. Yes, you have. They stopped me from actually sharing. Even I have sent 3 video files, important information to a friend of mine in my Gmail. Okay. In my Gmail. And the Gmail sent me a letter back, an email back, and saying that we don't agree you passing this information on to somebody else. Excuse me? Gmail? Keep your ass nose out of my business. Under the military law 13818, 13848, 13844, you keep your nose out of my business or you're going to be in trouble with the military. You're not supposed to interfere with people's private life, especially in Gmail. That's what they're doing right now. They're preventing people from sharing information. Yeah, I don't blame you, Nikki. Honest to God, I don't. I don't blame you for, yes, the global governments are, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yes, these governments are using children. I was a child who was involved. They were wicked beyond belief. I believe you. Absolutely believe you. I've met so many people. There's 2 girls that I know that actually got caught up in the Disney thing. They were working for Disney when they're little girls, young girls, young teens. And they seen things that was so scary. One girl was so messed up since then. And it's taken her a long time to recover. So, yeah, I understand from your point of view. I love you dearly, my dear. Anyways, here we go. I want to share this with you guys. You guys, folks, need to see this. Please like and share this. But here's what I'm going to share with this. I'll bring this up right now. Let's see. Where's the first one? Be Jordan. Let's do Jordan first. Is there Jordan first? No. Let's do this other one first. Let's go with this one. I think you need to see the reason why and about the Illuminati. Let's talk about the Illuminati, okay, and how it began.